The Manhattan Project was a top-secret research and development project during World War II, spearheaded by the United States with assistance from the United Kingdom and Canada. It was initiated in 1939 after concerns arose that Nazi Germany was working on developing nuclear weapons. The project's primary goal was to construct an atomic bomb before Germany could do so. Led by General Leslie Groves of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Scientific Director J. Robert Oppenheimer, the project brought together some of the world's greatest minds, including physicists like Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, and Niels Bohr. Scientists worked tirelessly at various locations, most notably in Los Alamos, New Mexico, to harness nuclear fission and create a weapon of unprecedented power. The project's work culminated in the successful detonation of the first atomic bomb on July 16, 1945, in the New Mexico desert, an event known as the Trinity Test. From the outset, there were serious ethical and scientific concerns regarding the development of nuclear weapons. Some scientists feared that a successful atomic bomb could lead to an uncontrollable global arms race, fundamentally altering the nature of warfare. Others worried that their research could inadvertently result in catastrophic consequences. If the bomb was not used responsibly, Albert Einstein and physicists who played a role in initiating U.S. nuclear research later expressed deep regret for their contributions. Many scientists believed that the bomb should be developed as a deterrent against Nazi Germany, but were unsure whether it should ever be deployed. A major fear during the Manhattan Project was the possibility of a nuclear chain reaction igniting the Earth's atmosphere. An idea raised in early theoretical discussions, physicists, including Edward Teller, discussed the minute chance that a nuclear explosion could set off an unstoppable fusion reaction with nitrogen in the air, potentially destroying the planet. Although later calculations showed this was highly unlikely. The mere possibility of such a catastrophic event terrified some scientists. Before the first bomb test at Trinity, there was still a sliver of uncertainty, but the test proceeded regardless. Another concern was espionage and secrecy. The project was so secretive that even Vice President Harry Truman was unaware of its existence until he became president in April 1945, after Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. The U.S. government feared that spies, particularly from the Soviet Union, could steal nuclear secrets. Indeed, Soviet intelligence successfully infiltrated the project, with spies such as Klaus Fuchs passing critical information. This later contributed to the Cold War nuclear arms race. The intense security measures in place for the Manhattan Project led to strict compartmentalization, meaning that many workers did not even know the full extent of what they were building. Beyond espionage, there were major concerns about radiation exposure and its effects on both the scientists working on the bomb and the environment. Many of the workers in uranium mines and enrichment plants were unknowingly exposed to harmful levels of radiation. At the time, the long-term effects of radiation exposure were not fully understood. But scientists began to see troubling signs, such as burns and sickness among those handling radioactive materials. Additionally, the Trinity test left behind a radioactive legacy, contaminating the surrounding environment and exposing military personnel involved in the test to dangerous levels of radiation. The project also raised moral and humanitarian concerns. As the bomb neared completion, scientists debated whether it should actually be used against civilian populations. The Frank Report, written by a group of Manhattan Project scientists in June 1945, recommended demonstrating the bomb's power in an uninhabited area instead of using it on a city. However, the U.S. government ultimately chose to use atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, believing that doing so would force Japan to surrender and end the war quickly. This decision remains one of the most controversial in history. As the bombings killed over 200,000 people, most of them civilians, there was also the fear of what would come after the war. Many scientists recognized that nuclear weapons could permanently change international relations. Oppenheimer himself later quoted the Hindu scripture Bhagavad Gita, saying, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," acknowledging the terrifying potential of the technology he helped create. The Manhattan Project had set a dangerous precedent. Once nuclear weapons existed, it was only a matter of time before other nations developed them. This concern proved justified, as the Soviet Union successfully detonated its own atomic bomb in 1949, launching the nuclear arms race of the Cold War. Despite all these fears, the sheer momentum of the project made it nearly impossible to stop. Scientists and military officials alike believed that if they didn't develop the bomb first, their enemies would. Even after Germany surrendered in May 1945, the project continued at full speed, shifting its focus toward Japan. The urgency of war overshadowed many of the moral dilemmas, and by the time the bombs were ready, there was little debate within the government about whether to use them. In retrospect, the Manhattan Project was one of the most significant yet troubling scientific endeavors in human history. It demonstrated the immense power of human ingenuity, but also its capacity for destruction. The world had entered the nuclear age, and from that point forward, the threat of annihilation hung over global politics. The fears surrounding the Manhattan Project did not end with the war. They only intensified as more countries sought nuclear capabilities, leading to decades of geopolitical tension and the ever-present threat of nuclear war. The Manhattan Project was a groundbreaking scientific achievement, but it came with a heavy burden. The same technology that ended World War II also opened the door to a frightening future where total destruction became a possibility. Scientists, policymakers, and the public alike have since struggled with the ethical implications of nuclear weapons, making the Manhattan Project not just a historical event, but a continuing lesson in the responsibility that comes with great power. That's all we got for today. We hope you learned something you didn't know, and we hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thank you for watching, and have a good day.